Hey, Corey, welcome to the show. Before we started recording, you mentioned that there was something that you were doing in the past that was sucking you into the day to day and killing growth. What was that?
Yeah, I definitely early on was in a lot of decision or a lot of the things that needed to be done day to day, a lot of the doing of things. I've done every single thing across what we do in the company, and there was too much that I was doing all at once.
I hear that a lot, especially when we first get started, because sometimes it is only us. So give me a little bit more context, Corey. What specifically were you doing, and how was it affecting the company's growth having you do everything?
Well, it was definitely in stages. At all time or early on in what I was doing, I did multiple things like support tickets. I made ads, the designs that went through them. I was adjusting our ads. I was
Yeah,
deciding who it should go to. I was having every conversation.
yeah.
I was doing the coding at times too. And maybe I didn't at any stage, I wasn't doing maybe every single one of those things altogether, but I was definitely doing multiple things that I should not have been.
Yeah, fair
Um,
enough. And so when you were involved in all of that, how was it affecting the company's growth?
well, while I was in it, maybe I didn't notice it as much, but definitely looking back, it was absolutely hurting because there were so many things that I was doing that many people are fully capable of doing.
Yeah,
Uh, and it needed to be spread out so that, you know, while I was doing this, this was getting done, this was getting done, this
you're
was getting done,
right.
right? All that sort of stuff can happen in parallel.
Yeah,
And early on, it was not always happening in
yeah.
parallel.
I like what you said in terms of, hindsight, right? And looking back, because in the moment it's not clear, right? And it's not, we don't necessarily understand what we're the opportunity cost of is just that, hey, I'm doing it all because I know how to, and I'm just getting started, and we don't realize the impact and the opportunities that we're missing out on by not having things be able to run in tandem. And is that a fair understanding of what you just said?
Absolutely. Perfect.
And so when you were involved in all of it, how did that affect you personally?
Well, uh, it's you can do some level of that up to a certain point. At least I sometimes feel like maybe I'm superhuman and can do more than maybe right. And that could probably do it for a little bit of time,
Yeah.
but what starts to it starts to feel like pressure in some way. It's like I've got to get this done. Okay, I got to do it really quick because I have two, three other things right like that need to get done too. And so it's like because they can't happen in parallel, I can't be doing all those things. It just felt like okay, there is so much that needs to be done. And it just you feel this sort of pressure of like, no, this is all gonna come crumbling down, right? I will say I've had that it all feels like it can come crumbling down at different moments for different reasons, but
Sure.
that was definitely one where it just felt like everything's on me and there's too much to do. And then when there's too much to do over there, the thing you're working on
Yeah.
probably doesn't get as great of
Right.
work, right? So yeah, definitely feels like pressure.
Yeah. So that was a moment in the past. What did you realize had to change, and what changes did you make to allow that to be a moment in the past?
Yeah, so I definitely started realizing that I needed people that could do some of these things, whether it meant hiring somebody that could do it right away or hiring them to do one job and I'm training them to do right. And I've
Yeah.
done various versions of that, but
Yeah.
hiring just, I was hearing it from people, hearing from people I talked to, other business owners, and it's just it for a while felt like in the future, in the
Yeah.
future.
Yeah.
But I started getting that pressure consistently, and I definitely started to realize it needs to happen. I just need to make it happen. That was a critical step, definitely in my business.
Well, congratulations on taking that step, and I definitely understand what you're saying. Of in the beginning, it's a little bit easier to juggle all those balls because we're just getting started, and maybe the cash flow is not there, and right, and we go in expecting to work longer and harder to get things off the ground. But then, as you mentioned, right, eventually the pressure's too much, and we realize that there's opportunity cost. So again, congrats on acknowledging it congrats on hiring some people to get that off of your plate. It's a big step in being able to move things forward. So awesome
Yeah.
job.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it.
Corey, tell us what's the name of your company and what do you guys do?
So where I'm at day to day now, all of my time is on a company called Sermon Shots. And what it does is it takes a church's full length sermon and turns it into lots of different pieces of content for them. So reels for social media, images with like quotes, turns it into things like discussion guides, 5-day devotionals that people use on a daily basis. So social media content, discipleship content.
Very cool. That's awesome. How'd you find yourself into that role? That sounds fun.
Yeah, I love it. Some of the other software that I've started in the past uh, was doing great, and I no longer needed to be in the day to day of it. And so I wanted to take what I had been learning and what I had been building in the software space and help the church. I'm very much passionate about helping the local church. And so I just started talking to pastors and church leaders. And it was right at this moment where Reels were becoming super popular in the church space. And it just so happened that some of my previous software had some components to that. And yeah, just started it about 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, very cool. So stepping into ownership requires a bit of a leap of faith. I know you've had a few different ownership experiences. So, what's the biggest surprise that you've had between what you expected ownership to be like and what it's really like?
Yeah, I would say all the way from the beginning to now, I'm still sort of in stages of what does that really mean. As I've sort of leveled up the business early on, I thought owning my business, I wouldn't have to work with anybody. I can do my thing. I can do all this stuff by myself. I can be a little bit of an introvert at times. And so that was sort of appealing. One person team, do it all, that didn't last very long. But as, as we've kind of gotten up into different stages of having people on the team as well, I sort of thought, "Oh, well, this is it. This is like
Mm.
I've got people on the team doing what I'm doing or what I've taught them to do and all that." But I have soon kind of recently realized that owning a business that's growing is a little bit more than that even. It's maintaining that culture that you had at the small when you were small and dealing with people things as well. So it's sort of evolved. I don't know. What am I missing 5 years from now? I'm going to be like, oh, I thought that was it.
Corey, before the show, you shared that making decisions is the current thing that keeps pulling you back into the day to day. Give us some a little bit more context there. What's happening?
Yeah, I would say very similar to what I said had been previously what I felt like I learned. It is very similar in that like realized I shouldn't be the one working it and doing all the things. This is sort of similar as I'm now seeing I need to not be the one making all the decisions too. A lot of up to this point, a lot of decisions have been on me, and it's sort of having the same similar effect as when I was doing all the work. It's
Mm,
a lot of pressure, things waiting on me, decisions
right.
need to happen in parallel. So yeah,
So I would assume that some of the answers to these questions will be similar because you just said it's a similar scenario. But let's dig into it just to
yeah,
see what does it cost the business if you're still the one needing to make all the decisions.
yeah. It definitely slows things down.
Mm,
So just if people are waiting on decisions for me, it slows down what they can do, especially if I'm like out. I'm
yeah,
not
right.
not around because I'm traveling
Sure.
for things or
Yeah.
that can be a big thing. It also adds a little bit of pressure too. Like decision making it's like it's a thing that if you have too many,
Mm,
what am I looking for? Like it starts
yeah.
to wear down on you, right? Like in a similar way that I felt like pressure. It's different but similar in that I know I have all these decisions I need to make and like my head's not on one decision, it's on like
Yeah.
multiple.
Yeah.
I recently listened to an interview. I wish I remembered. Maybe it was Nvidia's CEO said that he said it in a way that was really interesting. I'm going to get it kind of wrong, but he would hand decisions off because it lightened his like
Yeah.
load and his responsibility allowed it or it gave it to somebody else. That
Yeah.
sort of pressure that you're feeling
Yeah.
can be handed off to
Yeah.
somebody else.
Yeah.
And they don't have the same pressure because they don't have 10 decisions that they're making.
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that that was really interesting when he talked about it that way. That
Yeah. The other thing that I can appreciate that's going on there is that the team are typically closer to the data to support the decision making than you are. So there's also
Mm,
the need to get caught up on the details that you don't necessarily need the details because it's not your role, but in order
yeah,
to make the decision, you need more details than you would if the decision was being made by the person who owns the details, right?
yeah,
So, but by
that's good.
your point, right, by giving it back to the person that has the details, the burden of the pressure of you feeling like you've got to know those details that you really don't need to know, but you might if you're going to make a well informed decision.
Yeah, yeah, and I think you maybe said that, better than I I even said it. It's burden. It's sharing the burden, right? So, like, if all the burden's on you, that's when the pressure starts. So you're, like, sharing that with somebody else.
Yeah. So, personally, what's the impact when you have too many decisions that need to be made with a deadline and a timeline on it? How does you owning the decisions affect you personally?
Uh, Similar, I guess. You you feel that pressure, which kinda can, if you don't handle it well, can turn into anxiety and anxiousness, like, feeling, like,
Yeah.
it's like, now I'm the one holding up. I don't like being the I don't like being the bottleneck.
I know.
So, yeah, that pressure definitely I feel
Yeah.
when that happens.
Well, I appreciate you being candid and sharing with us today because it's a normal path of ownership, right? You see one bottleneck or area that's slowing down the business, i.e., you were doing everything and you resolve that by getting team members in place and right remove that responsibility and it's a natural transition to then see, oh well, here's the next area that's slowing down the business and the next area that needs to be resolved. Again, appreciate you being candid and sharing because I'm sure lots of folks who are listening to this are having similar types of things that are popping up, and it's easy to sometimes think, oh, I must be doing something wrong. You're not, right? They're not. It's just the next evolution of the business.
Yeah.
So why is this a priority to resolve this year?
Well, I don't think my business is done growing, and I want it to keep going, and this is the next phase that I think need to figure out to be able to make that continue to happen. I also can't take that whole burden too much longer. Yeah. So kind of in that process of making it happen, but absolutely, I want the business to keep growing. I don't think
Love it.
it's done.
Love it. For folks listening here, my name is Coach Tim Campsell, and we work with business owners in the messy middle, where the business has outgrown how it's being run and keeps the owner in the day to day. Corey, what lesson do you wish that you'd learned sooner to allow you to get out of more of the day to day?
I sort of wish I would have understood kind of what I understand now a little bit earlier, because it would have been, I think it would have been easier. We grew really fast. And so it required me to hire pretty quickly on the front end in a time when maybe I didn't fully appreciate what I'm learning now. And so I really wish that I would have like understood this just a little bit better, because I would have been able to apply what I'm doing now when we were maybe half the size and like, you know, half as many leaders on the team. I could have, worked through that a little bit more. Now it feels like I'm having to kind of catch up to that a little
Sure.
bit, which
Sure.
is all my fault.
Yeah.
But
When
but
you say
I
what
didn't
you're
know.
learning now, is it the stuff we were just talking about, or what do you mean by what you're learning now?
Yeah, yeah. Sorry to continue that, which is the just learning that I've got this limit of decision making, and
Mm,
how this sort of bottleneck that
yeah,
I created myself
got it.
is affecting. So
Yeah,
yeah, I wish I could have understood that a little bit
okay.
better,
Yeah.
maybe a
So
few years ago.
so when you were smaller, giving away decisions or delegating those decisions earlier and teaching your company how to handle those decisions when it's by the team members as opposed to you. Am I
Yeah,
hearing that right? Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it would have been
And
easier
and
to manage.
yeah, okay. That was what I was going to ask. What would that what would have been the benefit of that? So easier to manage. Give me a little bit more context. What do you mean by that?
Yeah. Yeah, I think just being able to have more time for me and my team. So me thinking about that a little bit more and how it applies specifically to my team, but then also being able to work kind of through this where it was like ahead of it and not in a, oh no, now it has to happen moment, right? Like building that rather than being a little behind.
You mentioned something that I want to dig into. It's intriguing to me. You said more time for me and more time for the team. Had you had addressed this earlier, what does that time mean for you? If you had more time for yourself and more time for the team, what would be the benefit of that?
Yeah, what I meant by that more time for me is more of my thinking time.
Oh,
So it's like sitting and not doing anything except for thinking about this. How does this
yeah,
actually apply, right? Like
yeah,
I've I've read lots of books, I've got different people that I listen to, all of that to help, but you can only take so many things and apply it directly to your business. You got to be kind of that filter of how does that
yeah,
actually apply to my business?
yeah,
I would have more time for that
yeah.
probably.
Fair.
And then the next step being once I've got that sort of in mind, it's how do I apply this to the individual leader on my team? And then I would have a little more time with them individually as well.
So in my world, I call that more working on the business time, right? More strategy, thinking, planning,
Yeah.
coaching, training, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. You have
Awesome.
you have much more elegant ways of saying what I
Yeah.
say.
Well, I get to practice it a little bit more. That's all. Corey, in your journey when things felt stuck or overwhelming, what changed when you brought in an outside perspective?
Well, when I've had like trusted outside perspectives, I can put more like weight to what they're saying.
Mm,
So I don't know if this is a common thing, but I try to listen to all kinds of different perspectives, and you have to decide what weight each person's
yes, absolutely. Yes.
right. And so as I've had more people that I've connected with that I feel like I can trust because they have the same values as me, or they built like I actually can tell that I know they've built a business and they're ahead of me. Like those true data points are really helpful. And so when I've had those, that's been that has been one of the ways that has really helped me move forward.
Yeah. Often, I'd love to hear your experience with this. I can find myself getting, stuck about a situation I can't figure out on my own, or something stressing me and overwhelming me, and I just don't know what to do about it. And then, I talk to a coach or a mentor or a fellow business owner, and just hearing their perspective, it's like, oh, you know what? That completely changes what I was feeling stuck about. Have you had similar experiences?
Yeah, absolutely. Multiple people along the kind of journey that I've been at different stages have definitely given me things like they say something in the way that's like, that is exactly how I'm feeling and the thing that's in it. Okay. Now I know. Okay. Now how'd you solve that?
Yes.
You solved that 3 years ago. How'd you solve that? Knowing that we've had similar pain points, knowing that they have a successful business, those sorts of things is like, okay, that's probably one I should apply.
Yeah. It can be, lonely at the top, and I hear a lot of times that, people feel like, "Well, I must be the only one going through this challenge or struggle." So, when we hear somebody else that has been there too, I don't know, there's just a sense of relief almost. Tell me a little bit more about that on from your experience.
That's a good point actually, because I've only been to where I'm at once in my life, right? Like in my life, I have one data point for
Yeah,
that experience.
yeah,
And yes, it can definitely feel like I question it at times. Like, am I just not a great leader because I'm like experienced? Should I have seen this 2 years ago? Right? Like,
right, right.
yeah, you're right. So when I hear from friends and people that I trust for advice, and they're saying they did the exact same thing, it's like, okay, all right, well, maybe I'm okay. I can give
Yeah.
myself a little bit.
And I like what you said earlier, like once you hear that they get it, that they've been there too, then you're like, okay, tell me, what'd you do? How'd you?
Exactly, exactly.
So, Corey, how do you find those people that you're able to share those types of stories with, and hear that that they've had similar? experiences as you?
Well, I've probably found different people different ways very early on, actually. And this might be a little bit of a like not exactly answer, but very early on when I didn't have a lot of people that I knew, and uh, trying to figure out a podcast that I could listen to
Yeah.
of a certain person. Like I don't know them personally, right? But
Yeah.
that was super helpful. Very early on, I listened to a podcast. Um, Hopefully it's okay that I share it. Yeah, I know. His name is Rob Walling from Startups for the Rest of Us.
Mm.
He doesn't know me,
Yeah.
but I really got to like just listening to him a few times and understand he does have a successful past help me. And I just really like the way that he thought through starting businesses. So podcast was first thing that got me connected to somebody like that. And then just as I got connected more into sort of the kind of business world, I started just connecting with people that I saw if they were close by, asked if I could take them out to lunch or, meet them. And I met multiple people that way
Yeah.
and figured
Love it.
out which ones I really wanted to stay connected with.
I love it. I'm glad you mentioned the podcast because I've heard people push back in the past of, well, I don't have the time or I don't have the money. Right? And it's like, well, podcast is free, right? Reading a book is free. Doing a Google search is free, or
Yep.
essentially free, right? So there
Yep.
should be no excuse to not be able to find a some type of resource to help, change our paradigm and help educate us, right?
Yep. Exactly.
So, Corey, our show, Self Made is a Myth, is the name is intentional because we know that no one can get to their successes on their own. So, who are the three people that you wouldn't be achieving the success that you are without them, and how they help you along the way?
Yeah. Well, I just named one, but I can have three. He doesn't know me, so maybe that one doesn't even count. I have three people that have really helped me in the last probably 5 to 8 years in this kind of area that I'm in. A friend of mine, Kenny Jang, he was huge for me early on because he was somebody who doesn't sugarcoat things, and I super appreciated it. Even when I just met him, he was willing to do it. Yeah, he has some of the best advice because one of those things is I feel like I can trust it. There's not a lot of people that that won't sugarcoat it a little
Yeah,
bit, right?
yeah,
And then as I was getting sort of in this stage in the last 2 or 3 years of where we had a lot of growth and I was trying to build a kind of the culture and the team in the way I wanted, a friend of mine, Michael Tazinski, he I met him one time. Somebody that I knew him, knew he was kind of in that stage. And I reached out to him. And that was one actually I think I asked to go to dinner. And he was he was far ahead of me in terms of like building a team and all that. And he introduced me to things like traction,
hmm
which I sort of still apply a little bit in a lot of ways, and just the way he thought. So I would meet with him regularly and he was super helpful. Definitely wouldn't be where I am now. Yeah.
very cool,
And
awesome.
then the last one is my pastor, Pastor Adam. That might sound a little bit strange in terms of business, but and he may not even fully know this, but just me being with him a lot and understanding how he's built his team and what he has done has impacted how I've built my team as well.
Yeah, very cool. So, if they were all here today on the show, Corey, what would you want to say to them?
Well, I think I kind of said it in those things, but just super appreciative of everything they've done because each one of them, there's no way I'd be where I am without some advice and help along the way for each one of them. Just would really show my appreciation.
Love it. So if somebody was to say, "Hey, well, I love this idea of getting advice from other people, but I'm not really sure how to get started." What tips would you have for them of how to get a mentor or get somebody who's willing to have coffee with them or go out for lunch with them and share some stories?
Yeah, I figuring out, I think first what sort of the problem is that you want and knowing that the person before you look for somebody, knowing that they're ahead of you at
Um,
least a few steps. Probably not too many steps because too far ahead and but anybody who's always been couple steps ahead of me feel like has given great advice. And so when I kind of see those people, I just reach out in some way, trying to share my story. And there's a lot of people out there that are willing to help. not everybody says yes, but there are a lot of people out there willing to help. And yeah, so
Yeah.
that's what I would do.
What I've saw and heard and experienced is that yeah, not everyone's going to say yes, but most people do because they also are a business owner and they've been through it, and somebody has helped them and they want to pay it forward. And it's again, it's kind of lonely at the top, and so there just seems to be a community of, "Hey, I'm willing to help other fellow business owners because I get it too. All right, I'm in the trenches also. Want to be able to help others because somebody helped me."
Absolutely.
And so where would they look for these people, or what has been your experience? Where have you found your folks for them to be able to reach out to?
So I guess some of the examples of what people I've reached out to are people that I'm seeing in my day to day of like being online somewhere that I see uh oh, that person. And then you kind of follow them for a little bit, see who they are, what they do. Again, going back to like, do I trust that what they're saying is true once I kind of sort of
Yeah,
had that validation?
yeah,
Um yeah, just being in the sort of whatever community is part of your, not just business ownership, but like the niche of your business or anything is a way to just be involved. And if you're involved, that might help sort of that person being willing to help out.
yeah. Love it. Very cool. Well, Corey, I appreciate your insights today and being willing to share some of the challenges and be transparent so that others can learn from your story. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. It was good. It was fun.
For those listening, if you're stuck in the messy middle, there's a way through it and you don't have to figure it out on your own. Our 2 week coaching trial helps you to see exactly what's holding the business back, as well as what needs to change. The link is in the description. If this conversation resonated, like it, comment, and subscribe so that you don't miss our next episode. I'll see you all next time.